Yo, you guys watched that thing trailer yet? Obi Wan Kenobi, the
Top
official
Gun?
trailer?
Oh
No,
no.
No, I
no.
haven't done it yet.
Obi Wan Kenobi official trailer came out.
What
Not
do you
that
I'm
think it's
much.
gonna?
You're looking
I
forward
didn't
to it?
see the I'm looking forward to Top Gun. No
Yeah,
I
lie.
heard. I heard about it. Is it a reboot or is it just a
No,
continuation?
continuation.
All I remember from
Uh,
Top Gun is the guy's name was Goose,
that's
or there was
one
a
of
guy
the
named.
characters.
That's all
Maverick
I
was another
remember.
one. Was it?
Yeah, Maverick, another one. It's one of those weird things. It's like was such a big.
Iceman. Iceman was Val Kilmer.
Iceman.
Iceman,
Iceman.
Val Kilmer was in it.
Yes.
the original man. Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's in the sequel as well. He has like a cameo or something.
See, it's a movie I remember existing, but 92 would have been what? I would have been in grade two. I never cared
That
to
was
watch it.
92?
Yeah, the
No, was
original
it the
Top
80s?
Gun.
Was it the 80s?
One of them was in 92. Maybe Top Gun 2 was 92. I just remember there because
There's
you
only
guys
Top Gun 1. There's only
Yeah,
one
there's
and
no,
there's a
there's
second
no.
one now.
really there wasn't a sequel.
1986.
Holy
80s,
shit!
man. 92. Where'd you pull that from?
So remember Columbia House?
Yeah.
No.
10 CDs for a penny.
10 CDs for a penny, and then they ended up doing the VHS tapes. So they had
I
that.
don't remember.
So they had the audio version, which was like 10 CDs for a penny, and then you'd get your regular ones. You had to pay regular price, and they just sent it to you regularly, even if you didn't. Um,
Yeah.
they had a VHS version where they had that same little brochure. You picked off whichever movies you wanted, and for like $1, you'd get like 10 tapes, and then you'd get
So
regular movies billed to you for the next 2 years at regular price monthly. Um, and I remember signing up for this stuff, and then my dad getting the bill, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?"
mm,
Right? And at that time, it was so like it's kind of how like business was. Is you didn't need a credit card to sign up for the shit. You just legit picked whatever you wanted, put your address, put a name, and put it in the mail, and they would come back and they'd invoice you.
so
Good
this is
old
like
days.
early
Good old days.
Netflix.
This is early '90s, yes. So it's
Early
but
Netflix.
it's very much Netflixy, yeah. And so like me and my friend were like, "Yo, this is a wicked scam. Let's just keep putting new names on them." So we did like five, six of these with different names at our address, and they'd send it to us. It's not like they were doing a credit check.
Yeah.
They would just send an
Netflix
invoice, and then
Netflix used to be Red Box
Red
or Red
box. Red
Tube.
box.
Red
No, red
Redbox.
box. Red
Yes,
box.
okay.
Red.
It's one or the other. Okay. I don't know which one it is, but if you know what the other one was, then
Clearly, you do know.
yes.
Anyways,
But
it was
remember,
very pre Netflix.
what was crazy was remember the Indian grocery store videotape rental service. Yeah, people go in, they
Yeah.
buy like. How did
Internet
they
killed
keep track of
that.
that, man? Like that was crazy.
They
Was
had a
that just
direct
paper and
diary.
pen?
Yeah, paper and pen. They'd write down who took it
Crazy.
out, and then in the late '90s, they all started getting computers and having like basic software on it that would do all that tracking. But yeah, it was all paper pen back in the day, man. They'd write down your phone number, and they wouldn't be able to really validate or verify your phone number. It wasn't like we're gonna send you a 4-digit pin, just respond when you get it, type thing.
They would have a thing. Like my guy would be like he had a paper record at first when we were little kids, and then as he got older, yeah, they had a computer record. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
all right,
eventually migrated to
what's your problem?
PCs
Yeah.
with just a
What did
DOS
jump?
screen.
What did Jumbo Video do back in the day?
They had a desktop PC.
And scanned
Oh
your
yeah.
card.
They had
Oh
cards.
yeah, the card. You're right. Yeah.
And the video cassette box had a barcode.
Yeah, so they
Well,
were just tracking.
some of us only got as far as the free popcorn, and
No,
that was the experience at Jumbo Video.
I was pretty late in life with all that shit too, to be honest, renting videos.
Yeah.
I think we did
no,
it like
man.
grade two. Grade two is probably when I started renting videos.
We were
I think even
doing.
later
Two or
than that.
three.
If it wasn't at the Indian video store, we weren't getting it.
Yeah,
You guys,
English movies,
do you
yeah.
guys remember West End Video?
Yeah.
West End
Yeah.
Video was the one right thing, and then they had the naughty section right behind with where all like squeezy uncles walked in and out of, and you're like, "What the hell's back there?" And your parents like, "Don't worry about it."
I do not
What a
remember the
what a
adult only
time, man.
section there, but
Huh? I just remember there was like this one section. You're always curious what's happening there because it's like your normal video section, the closed off section, and every now and then, like someone would just like kind of walk, and you're like, "What's it there?" And they're like, "No, no, you can't go back there." And then later on, you realize, "Oh, that's what's going on back there."
I learned about that today, and I used to go there all the time.
West End Video?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a adult section, which is kind of
Oh,
sleazy considering how small the place was.
and everybody knew him.
Jumbo Video apparently did too, or was it an adult section? It was a rated R section. So they had all the
I
normal
don't.
movies.
There's no way Jumbo Video had a rated R or
No,
an
no,
adult section.
it wasn't an adult section. It was a rated R section. So they had all the PG-13, PG movies in the normal vicinity. Anything that was rated R, they had like a special section for it that they honestly only let adults get to.
I just want to point out that it's you who's led us down this porn discussion, and not the Tim one name.
Hold on, Mr. RedTube here.
Oh, so you do know what it was. You got the reference.
Moving right along.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
Check out the trailer for Star Wars Obi Wan Kenobi. They're only doing 6
you think it-
episodes, limited
Yeah,
release.
it's a limited series. It's not like a new show. Limited series.
So is that going to be?
Perfect, actually. I think that's how it
What's
should
your
be.
predictions? Better than
Easy.
Boba Fett?
Way, yeah, because I think because it's such a big character, they're gonna have, and because it's such a limited series, and because it's such a big part of the story, like it's not old canon that they can kind of just, skirt around. It's something that's so well known and popular. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a good job with it. They have to. Such like a big part of their title. So I don't know. I'm
Crazy.
kind of
You're
looking
right.
forward to it.
Okay. I'm noticing you're right. The new trailer came out yesterday. Sick.
Oh, I thought you were checking a RedTube just to double check what it was.
Is
Just to
Red
make
Tube even around anymore? I think they're all
Oh,
gone.
no.
They're all owned by
Do you
one
still have
company.
your browser subscription, Robbie?
I don't know. I gotta check. I gotta check my
Okay.
credit card statements, I guess.
But you know what? Internet killed that industry. Internet killed a lot of industries.
Did it though, or did it make it accessible with like OnlyFans type things?
I know even OnlyFans is a killer of like the traditional internet porn industry, because now there's no longer like labels, right? Each person can do their own thing and own their IP
Own
and
content.
run their IP on their own. They
But
don't
now
need
it makes-
distributors, right?
Doesn't that make it like you don't need the pimp no more? Everyone can be the hoe.
Kind of, I guess. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, sure.
The pimpless society.
But like OnlyFans is crazy. I think we talked about this. There's people putting out workout videos on it. Apparently, there's some really large lady that makes videos of herself like going through a door and
I
getting
remember
stuck.
hearing about this. Like getting
Right?
stuck. Yeah, I remember reading on it. It
Yeah.
was like the,
And
and I was
people,
like,
people are paying for this.
Like $2,500 a month
to
is what she
see
makes
some.
from that.
No, that's what she's making. It's probably not per video or whatever.
No, not per video. That's just making a month.
I mean, it's an honest living. I'm curious though. Like, I remember OnlyFans had this. They were in the news not a long time ago, but a while back last year, where they wanted to get rid of the adult content because they wanted to focus on all the other types of paid services, and that's when people were like, "Do you guys have other paid services on there?"
On OnlyFans?
Yeah, OnlyFans wanted to ban adult content, and then they quickly realized that made up probably
I
99%
thought that
of
was a
their.
pump fake. Yeah, I thought it was a pump fake. Like they just did that to get a stir, and then that worked. It was like a marketing thing.
Could have been. It's a weird
It
flex
worked
though.
for you, right?
I mean, there's
Worked on you.
Patreon, right? I thought I'm like, yo, OnlyFans is really getting rid of this, and Instagram was trying to make ways into it because they wanted to
Well-
introduce paid accounts and subscription-only models for accounts and stuff. The wild world we live in, man. No pimps,
if
all
we're-
hoes.
If we're dabbling into how things are priced and subscription models and whatnot, let's get into this drip pricing. What's
Yeah,
going on with
so-
that, man? I have no idea. You want to talk about this?
Yeah.
I mean,
what
I
is
just-
group pricing?
I just read about this today, honestly. So Ottawa wants to ban drip pricing. Drip pricing you'll commonly see when you go buy sporting tickets, or if you use online like Ticketmaster or some of these other sites, and it says the ticket is $50. You go to checkout, all of a sudden you're paying convenience fees, service upcharges, and your $50 ticket is now $85 after everything's said and done. Apparently, airlines, people were saying, would fall under this too, where they give you one rate, but that rate isn't the true rate that you'd be paying at checkout more often than not. So what Ottawa wants to do is they want these companies to be upfront with what the costs are, and they want to pass a bill under the Consumer Act. That
So they,
What, they want less transparency?
no, they want more
that's what
transparency. So basically, instead of saying all your surcharges and everything, you got to put those into the first price that you show people. So you can't add new prices
How
at
is that
checkout.
better?
Oh, I see. What
So
you're saying.
instead of saying, "Hey, here's a $50
Like
thing,"
if something
you go to
costs
checkout.
$100, say it's 100, and
At
then
checkout,
disclose all the fees, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, make sure your fees are all in the price that the first.
Oh,
click
the
fee
original
thing.
price. The original
Yeah.
price.
Who's complaining about this?
I think a lot of people. It's always been an annoyance of mine. No,
Really?
like you go to checkout.
Right. Well,
Did you just kind of assume it's going to happen? It's kind of like tax, right? We kind of got used to it.
Yeah, but it's so annoying. Like you go to checkout and all of a sudden you're hit with a $25 service fee. Like what the hell's a service fee? Like then it's just an annoying. Like just tell me that's $125 up front.
Yeah, but then you want to know what the service fee is as well.
Well,
Why?
in this case, how I'm imagining it
That's what
is
the people want.
you'll get attracted to a sticker price of $125, and then at checkout you still get the same breakdown of why it's $125, but it's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
longer I'm buying something for $95, and then by the time you get to checkout you see you're actually paying 125, and you still get the same breakdown about why you're being upcharged so much. But I guess it's just you've been lured in going in for a $95 item and you're checking out at 125. So I guess it saves you that shock a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, to be fair, they should get rid of the tax as well. Like how we buy something and the tax is added after. They should get rid of that as well. Because in the UK, when you pay something, the taxes are reincorporated.
So
Right, you
that
just
was
pay
one
what-
thing people were talking about in this is should taxes then be a thing? But they put an exemption saying the only additional cost that can alter at checkout is taxes, which makes me wonder about airlines because they always say like the fuel is a surcharge. It's not a surcharge, it's a tax. And a lot of the airline stuff wasn't really marked as fees so much as it was taxes, right?
But then,
Like you had your airport tax and all
I
those
just mean,
things.
but
if
the
we're
airport
talking-
taxes are different. The airport fees are different. Each airport charges a different fee. So you could fly,
Well-
for example, to, let's say, Calgary and Edmonton are good examples, more or less about the same distance from Toronto. Not too much more flying, but the price will vary based on airport fees. Or, flying to London and flying to London Gatwick, or London Heathrow and London Gatwick
No,
is
Gatwick,
huge because fucking London Heathrow is one of the most expensive airports in the world to land in. Their airport fees alone are like $400. Think of that per person.
Yeah. So
So
I would hope
do you
that
guys
these things
wanna know
get
the
it.
break- do you-
I mean,
I
I'd
you
want to
guys
know.
want to know the breakdown or like?
No, I want to know what I'm
No,
paying.
one of you go. One of you go.
Go ahead.
No, I just want them to say this is the final price.
Yeah.
Like I don't break it down in the end to show what led to that price, but
How
like
about tax then? Don't you want tax incorporated as well?
I would think so. I'd be down with tax being in there too. Like
Yeah,
But-
I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
if
gonna go that route, just make it one price. Why
Just
do
do
we?
it all,
Why do we
yeah.
then? Like at a restaurant, and they add taxes. Put it all in.
yeah, I mean restaurants kind of do this too with the tips, no?
Anywhere there's HST, you might as well just put it all in. If there's like, I think there's a few problems still with GST, PST, right? Or yeah, so with that you could, I guess, split it up just so you see who's robbing you more. But
But
other
do we
than that,
really? But the question is, do you really look at that when you get a receipt or a bill? Are you like, now you
I do
obviously
to base my tip
you
off of it.
no yeah. No, you obviously acknowledge the fact you're paying tax, but aren't we just accepting of it? It's not like we sit there and get angry about it. We're like, it is what it is. You got to pay
Yeah,
tax
I
on a
guess it's
meat
just a
product, right? You
disclosure
know what I
thing,
mean? Like you're
right?
just you know.
I
It's a
mean,
disclosure thing. That's all it is.
I feel like with taxes, I know, okay, I just gotta add, oh, I gotta make room for taxes. But when you get all these hidden fees and stuff inside after, then you're like, oh man, I know some of these ticket sites do a lot of that
Hmm.
because they keep adding all these different
Uber.
services.
Uber does that. Uber for delivery service charge. You know when you
Uber does it,
place an
yeah.
order. Yeah, Uber does it like crazy. So
I would love that
like,
Uber got rid of it and it's just like, this is the price that you're paying at checkout. Here it is. Although Uber also gives you a discount if you use Aeroplan or some credit cards, or you pay for their like monthly flat fee.
mhm.
You could like exempt yourself from the delivery. But no, I agree. Uber should do that too, where before you hit that checkout, it shows you exactly what you're looking to pay.
All right. Well, overall, I guess they're saving people some annoyance, but this isn't like a
See,
bombshell like Roe v. Wade or some shit like that.
I mean, it's EZW, unlike Roe v. Wade, man. You guys have any thoughts on that? Where are you guys?
I on a light note, because this topic gets kind of heavy. On a light note, there's one fucking meme that every girl is putting out there, and it's fine, it's fair, but don't talk about vasectomies. Every time I read, oh, if it's the same meme, they're all posting it. It's like, fine, let's regulate. Why don't we force every dude to have a vasectomy? It's reversible. It's I cross my legs when I read it. It's like, fine, I get fair point, but don't. Come on, ladies, come on.
I've never heard the vasectomy thing.
That's all I keep saying is the same meme over and over again. It's like, instead of regulating our bodies, why don't all these dudes get vasectomies? They're reversible.
No, I haven't seen that. Did you guys want to even talk about what Roe v. Wade is?
I mean,
Robbie, you're in the
Uh,
state that actually spurred this case, so
yeah, I'm in Texas right now. Do you want to explain the legalities of it? I mean, you're probably better versed in it than I am.
I mean, I'll go into the legalities, but I guess fine. Let's just background. Roe v. Wade is a famous case from the U.S. Because of this case and it's from the Supreme Court, the right to abortion or right for women to choose um, became, enshrined in law. Before it was like a state issue, and because of the Supreme Court's ruling, it became something that federally was allowed instead of before only certain states allowed abortion, others didn't. Texas being one of them at the time. So the big row, pun intended, that we've been hearing in the in the media these days is um, there's a conservative, I guess, skewed bench now at the Supreme Court in the U.S., and there's a leaked decision or a leaked opinion from one of the most conservative judges on that panel, um, showing that they're going to try to reverse the decision. So that's the lay of the land. I'll let you guys fill in and jump back in a bit.
I mean, my opinion of the whole thing is I don't care. Yeah, I don't care in terms of. It seems strange that obviously it's a conservative issue. The Supreme Court Justice Panel is made up of, I think, 66% Catholics, even though the country is only composed of 22% Catholics. Most of those Supreme Justices were voted in by the last two Republican presidents, which did not win the popular vote. So this whole narrative that they're trying to change the law is not popular, and that's where I don't understand the need to go backwards. I think as a society, you think people are moving on, but hey, look, they're banning books in this state, so like in certain schools are banning books. They're really going backwards. So I mean, I'm not. When I say I don't care in terms of. I do care, obviously, in terms of the rights issue, but I don't care in terms of when pertaining to Canada. That's where I get frustrated with our Canadian politicians. Like everyone's talking about it, we're not going backwards, and I think even the conservative MPs were told not to speak about it. Right, so. I mean, it's always been a hot topic here in the U.S., and I think it's always going to continue to be. As long as you have that conflict between the right and the left. So that's my take on it.
So one of the things it's kind of come up at an inconvenient time for a lot of politicians right now, because we have the leadership race happening, the conservative leadership race, and so conservatives are the ones that everyone's kind of looking at what their opinions are on this, because they've always kind of been the, where do you guys stand? So we have the federal conservative race, and then we have the provincial campaign underway. And Doug Ford obviously gets pulled in as, a lot of people see him as a hard right. Yeah, they see him as this hard right conservative, social conservative, but he's pretty centrist overall. But yeah, out of nowhere, it kind of becomes an issue. Douglas was quick to stamp it from becoming an issue, saying, listen, the Canadian laws are the Canadian laws. We're not touching this shit. Let the Americans figure their shit out. Even went as far as saying, look, I know there's so cons in my party, the Sam Westerhoffs and whatnot, and they have their opinion. It's not the party's opinion. They can say whatever they want if they want to say it. The party's not in support of it, and we don't condone it as a party. Just making sure that, like, his whole thing was, we're not going to let this become a narrative that the media pushes or the left tries to take us down. Most conservative leaders in the race today, the ones that matter, I guess. Charest said they're not touching it. He's not thinking he's for a woman's right to choose.
Yeah,
Brown,
Brown,
same thing, said, look, I don't think abortion should be everyone's first move, and that we should have other things in place to allow women to put kids up for adoption, this, that. But, you know, as far as it's the right to choose, whether I agree with it or not, I'm not going to open it up as a party. I don't know what PP has said. That's an interesting one, because he's always kind of skirted the SOCONs a little bit. And I don't know if he's courting this group here.
He's still probably formulating a response.
Yeah. And he's in his debate tonight. I think there's a conservative debate happening today. So he'll definitely have had comment on it tonight. So we'll know next week. But it's an interesting thing, because, like they say, America farts, we smell it up here.
Yeah, I mean, look, the court isn't supposed to be, the Supreme Court is not supposed to be a political thing, but it's getting more and more politicized. I mean, it's no longer Supreme Court justices, it's, you know, the Trump judges, Bush judges.
Federal judges that have been pushed.
But, right, they're being categorized. Even Trump, you know, in his last election, he's like, vote for me and I'll get judges that will overturn Roe v. Wade. Like, this case is that famous. So it's become a political court. And the U.S. judges, like, the justice system is somewhat political because they actually have elected judges as well, right? So those judges that are elected to the bench, they're seen as people who vote, you know, in accordance to what's popular with the society. So at the time, so even Canada, I mean, like, judges do get a lot of pull, in the sense that, you know, they'll draft an opinion or they form an opinion when they are in a court, and this is what lawyers think and say. You know, I don't know if judges really admit to this or not, but the conventional thinking is, many times you'll make submissions in front of a judge, and a judge will say, you know what, I want to rule in this way. They'll go to their clerk and be like, research law that will support my instinct or my feeling, okay? And make it happen. So even, like, going back to this case, Roe v. Wade, when it was, you know, ruled in favor, to allow, you know, under the banner of liberty and right to privacy, to allow abortion to be a woman's choice during, you know, the first trimester, and then second trimester there could be some restriction, and third trimester it'll be ultimately left to the state. I mean, that was essentially the bench's way at the time, saying, look, I want to make abortion a woman's right to, you know, choose if she wants to do it or not. Under what branch of the Constitution in front of me right now can I make this happen? Okay, let's try liberty and privacy. And they made it fit. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. It doesn't really fit all the time. They made it fit. But it's because of that, like, mishmashing and making it fit, that there's always been, well, a crazy debate, because one, you know, the church and state is hand in hand in the state, like crazy. So you have people irked because of that, and because, you know, if they were to take the church and state, the church were to take a logical approach, there is an argument there that they might have stretched the argument a bit to make it fit. But to be honest, this happens all the time. It's nothing crazy, and it might be seen as like judicial activism at the time, back in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, I think, is when this was decided and made into law. It was probably seen as like judicial activism, and activist judges saying we want to make this into law because we feel it's right. But it is what it is. And going back to the politics of it, guys, like you guys hit the nail on the head. You know, now all the conservatives here, they want to make sure they're not seen as people who fall under that Republican banner of the U.S. because they're really right wing. But even the U.S., like you gotta wonder is if this is not like a lifesaver for Biden, who's dealing with like fucking inflation and just low popularity. That now he has this like during the midterms, this life raft of Republicans having to rush under the anti-abortion banner, and they can be seen as the saviors because I think the popular vote or the majority of 2/3 of the U.S. don't
Yeah.
want it overturned, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there's an
But it's
interesting thing
even-
here, where we talk about conservatives. Generally, the leaders have all said we're not touching it, we're not reopening it. Obviously, the liberals and then the left are going to try to force it on them, and they're arguing, well, we have our anti-abortion lobby in Canada, who's green-lit, friendly MPs, and they're all conservative, like sitting MPs who they say are with us on this debate. Is that something to be worried about? Is that something we should even care about, that this lobby that we would think has no impact here actually has greenlit MPs from a specific party?
In Canada, is this an issue? Is there a possibility of the right to a woman's right in terms of abortions to be overturned? Is there, how Ranjit had stated it, the mishmash or the jigsaw puzzle? Is our law or more sound? I mean, are the laws more sound in Canada?
I mean, from my understanding, we've done the same thing in Canada. It was the courts who stepped in and not the legislature who made the woman's right to choose an intrinsic right, right? So is that something that could be overturned? Yes. Is that likely? No. Even the states, like, let me just put this caveat out there. This is just a fucking opinion that was drafted. It doesn't mean that that's
Yeah.
going to be law. Like judges, although this is probably the case. They are going to overturn it. Like judges are known to draft opinions and then get other judges to like
Sign
weigh
off.
in on it. Weigh in on it. Be like, yo, what do you think? I wrote this. What do you think? Is it too harsh? Is it too bad? Am I too off? And then the other times, like apparently, this is again, hush hush. But like judges might on the Supreme Court said to kind of, pull other judges to this time vote with me, next time I'll fucking side with you,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
So
game.
there's that happening in the background as well.
Yeah.
So going back to your question, Robbie, yeah, again, from my understanding, and I should know this, but it was the judicial branch that made this right enshrined in Canadian society. Could it go back? Yes, it could.
I
Are
mean, you
we
get
really
enough
go-
MPs, right? If you get enough
Yeah.
MPs to pass a law and you have a majority, you can enact it. And
they,
if
they pass a bill, they'll pass a bill, but they have to go to the Senate, right?
the Senate has to approve it. Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah,
Senate
so
would
I
have
mean,
to approve it after.
it's not as easy. It's not as easy.
But it
in
could just be
Canada.
the Supreme Court overturning their own decision, which is what's happening in the States.
I see. Okay.
And
Isn't
to be
that happening in the
fair,
States?
the Senate here isn't really a check and balance as much as it is a formality, because they normally always side with whatever the ruling party passes. They're just there because they get a nice pension and a little bit of salary to come in and do some hearings, right? The possibility, I mean, you get enough, if you get a majority SoCon social conservative government has the numbers, they could easily pass a bill. But then you worry about, well, the next time when people vote them out, the next party comes in and they just remove the bill. You can get this like jigsaw back and forth or whatever.
I just don't think that the anti-abortion movement in Canada is as prevalent or is as strong or staunch, if you will, as it is in the U.S. I think conservatism in the U.S. Obviously has many different facets to it, but this is obviously one of the stronger things they like to discuss, if you will. But I don't know. I don't think in Canada it's a huge issue. Maybe around election time. I think last time was it Aaron O'Toole or was it Andrew Scheer? Andrew Scheer it was.
Sheer, yeah,
He had
sheer.
mentioned it, and you know what I mean? Those are the only times I can really hear it kind of popping up into the main news cycle, if you will. But is it a talking point? Is it something that Canadians generally are against or on the fence about? I mean, unless you're religious, I mean, then obviously I can understand.
Well,
Especially if you're Catholic or any of these other
it's
religions, you would be naturally opposed to it. But I mean, we also are in the country legalized marriages, and I mean, aren't we forward thinking? Like, are we really scared to go backwards?
I mean, I don't think so, but I mean, it works great for the NDP and Liberals or anybody on the center or left in any province going
Yeah.
into elections now because you can put this fear in people, right? It's like, don't be complacent.
Mm.
Don't be complacent. Look what's happened in the US. This has
It
happened
could happen
here,
here. Yeah, it's a tool. Yeah,
right?
it's a
Yeah.
scare
So
tactic.
it's
Yeah.
a great marketing tool for that for that side. And so with provincial elections coming up, Del Duca with a shiny head could easily start saying that, even though the Douglas is cool and chill on that. But hey, look, like
I think
it's
where it
it's a
really,
Well,
political ploy.
I think politically where it always, like you said, Andrew Shear, is Andrew Shear gave a very non-response to it. He's like, well,
mm,
I'll let my party and the members vote by their conscience because he knows there's people in ridings where they'll only win if they're SoCon or they only support that agenda, right? Or who've made it their entire brand. So if he were to force it upon the party, that would cause a whole thing. So he that's what really caused Shirk is his non-committal response to it. Really opened up the it gave the other party ammo to say, look, he's not willing to really be hard on this. You should be scared. If he's not willing to take a hard stance or commit to anything now, you know, what's going to happen when he comes into power? So that's why I think it was cool that Doug, not cool, but it was like vital for Doug to get ahead of this. Because if you don't
mm,
get ahead of this and you let people watch videos of Sam, openly saying that he's against it and stuff, you lose track of the narrative, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Well, the Ford government's gonna bring uh, delegalize abortion. We got to go left," and you scare people into going left because it's not just that abortion. I think abortion is just a pry. But if you're like, well, the government's going to go backwards on abortion, well, what else will they go back on? Will they go back
yeah.
on these other policies and stuff?
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary because America right now is repealing a law or reverting a law, more or less, right? Doesn't that open up like a whole domino thing of what else can be reverted then? Just
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. Because again, um, it's not like there's a right to abortion. There's enshrined rights in the Constitution, liberty being one of them. And under the liberty branch, there's privacy and other liberties. And those are used as justification for any number of things, such as, legalization of pot in the States. If it were to happen, it's not going to be like a right to do whatever the fuck you want. It'll have to be justified under an existing right or freedom of the U.S. Constitution, right? So that's how all these constitutional cases are framed. Even in Canada, something's framed under an existing right or under the the Bill of Rights. It's not like or the Charter, sorry. It's not like judges are going about creating new things to be added to the Constitution. They're using the framework that's already there and saying, using that language, how can I justify this position? And that's what they're going to do. So when you start taking back those past decisions, then yeah, there's a scary precedent or there's a scary slippery slope you're going down where, today it's this, tomorrow, what is it, right? In the States, what other liberties can be reversed just because of a pen stroke of a judge who is, trying to cater to a certain political segment of the population. It's scary.
Okay.
It's scary because it's not even the most popular opinion, or even most of these politicians who win are not winning by popular vote. So that's what's scary, right? You have
Yeah, how many
know.
judges are on the bench right now? I know there's like 5 of them that are Republican-esque right now.
Where's that lady that
5
just
or
got
6.
voted in recently by Trump? Remember?
Yeah.
I remember her case because
She's got pushed through, and then it's not even that. Remember, they turned down Obama's Supreme Court nominees. What was his name? Mitch McConnell. Was it Mitch, or was the other guy Boehner? But purposely, just anything that Obama brought, they gave any kind of obstacles or roadblocks they could put in the ways to making sure that this would happen. And it's interesting how it's not the popular opinion, and they're not technically the popular party. They're just popular in certain areas, right? Because of the electoral college.
all right, talking
So
about
the way the
civil
presidency's
liberties,
on, right?
on the whole thing with civil liberties and all that. I don't know if you guys saw this in Canada recently. There was a bit of a report that came out that they were during the pandemic. They were tracking people's cell phones to see where they were moving, and some people are saying, "Well, holy shit, this is a pretty detailed report," because they could tell where people were gathering, whose houses they were gathering at, and it was kind of tracking, and it kind of showed like a majority of the movement that was happening at that time was between the liquor store and the grocery store were the two favorite places for people, right? But yeah, so some civil libertarians.
Was that Bramptonians in general, or just everybody?
I think it was Canada wide. Really, it was it was a national report.
People were drinking more.
It's come up now because this report's now kind of highlighting
who's surprised.
Wait, but hang on one second. I want to just filter out some things, okay? They said they were doing this before. It was in the news, like as it was happening. I remember that. It was already out there. Second, they're just tracking a population in general where people are going. They're not tracking individual people like Shinda on this day went here. They're seeing lights on a screen gravitating towards places, okay? They can't identify who that person is. They can just see traffic. Okay, so like being up in space and seeing a bunch of cars, on a highway on the 401 without a telescope, you're just seeing where there's a lot of traffic. That's all it is. So, is there a violation? Is there a personal violation there? I don't fucking think so.
But I mean,
are we surprised? Are we surprised, even if they were?
I mean, there's certain rights we should expect.
I would be surprised if they're tracking me personally. Then I would be surprised because.
But if they want to find something out about you, where you were, what you purchased, where you made a phone call from, that there's a digital footprint there. We leave one every day, so it's not like everyone's living off the grid and you think everything's private. You are leaving a trail of your activities all day long. Especially if you're using an Android phone, you're using Google. Something's being tracked somewhere.
For sure, 100%.
You can't be that naive and think, nothing's tracking me. Or you go purchase something. Like literally, they could track you down your whole day's activities if you're, using credit cards or using your phone. Or I mean, the surprise is always the notion that makes me laugh. Like, why are you surprised? If you don't want no one tracking you, get off the grid.
You know what? I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
These Google suggestions that I get, that after just search or talk about something, like fucking great. It's awesome. I love the convenience, okay? Yeah. But Robbie, I gotta disagree with you. There is like a very fine but fucking important distinction you gotta make is the information is out there. That's one thing. But the government compiling and tracking that information and actually keeping a record of what you're doing is something else, completely different.
But you're okay with a corporation.
I know the information's out there. It's like
no, but Google's doing it. They're using that information then to, do targeted ads or suggestions. So someone's tracking you. I mean, are you opposed to now the government doing it?
At the very least, Google asks for my permission before they do it.
Well, this is where European privacy laws, right? European privacy laws have made it so that these companies aren't allowed storing it, or if they do store it, they got to expunge a certain in piece of this information that it can't be tracked. Like they got very strict laws in Europe when it comes to this privacy stuff. That for some
GDPR.
companies, yeah, that makes it for some of these companies are just like, well, it's not really viable for us to continue to run these services here, considering how much the privacy laws hinder our ability to gather this information. I don't know. When I hear this, you guys remember the scene from the Batman, the Dark Knight, when he has like everyone's cell phone pop up, and he has that system tracking and try to. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The scary thing for me is the government being able to use this information and access it without permission, without that needing that subpoena. Because while it's one thing for the corporations, Googles, the Facebooks, etc., to know this information, and even if it's anonymized, the fact that they can track exactly where you and your car are going from space a little bit, they know who you are if they want to put a name to it. They're just putting an ID number to anonymize you from an employee there. But I think there always needs to be that constant debate of where are our privacy laws, what protections do we have from this information not being collected, and like in this case it's being used for good, I guess, to some degree, to understand behavior during a pandemic. But what's preventing, so how do we protect bad stuff from happening with this information outside of us just getting targeted ads? And
what would be bad? Like, just give me an example. What would happen with that information?
I mean,
Like, that's what I'm asking. Like, what's the worst thing that will happen if the government knows I'm going to the grocery store or the LCBO?
Tyranny, mayhem, Big Brother, George Orwell
already
world.
exists. I just think it already exists, and I think we're just acting like it doesn't.
I
know?
I mean,
we've also let it in with
I
our own
think
acceptance of these technologies.
Robbie, the possibility for it to happen is greater now than ever before. Fair.
Mm-hmm.
But are we there yet? No. Just because the rule of law. As soon
The
as the
law is
rule of law
protected.
goes away, yeah, fine, we're there.
So what you're saying is the government technically shouldn't be doing it because they represent that last step. So if they're breaking it, then gates are open. Is that what you're?
Pretty much, like,
Pretty much, okay.
well, maybe the courts, lawyers,
Lawyers,
the last defense of
those guys
civil
again.
liberty, the last defense of civil liberty. But yeah, I mean, as long as like there's the rule of law and people are following what that is, like, um, tomorrow there could be a law that says, yeah, the parliament passes a law saying no more privacy rights. We don't need that anymore, and then the judicial branch can step in and be like, yo, that's a bit of an overreach, right? So that balance, check and balance is always there. So fuck, man, honestly, that's all it really is. The rule of law is keeping us in the light and out of the gray and the dark. I mean, there is lots of gray area. Privacy stuff is like expanding scope of law and policy for corporations and lawmakers. But like in this new world, everybody's kind of accepted. Yeah, information is gonna be out there. How do we filter it out? How do you expunge key data? And the most important thing is permission. If I am gonna retain something, was it given the permission? That's the more important thing.
Should we be more paranoid? Is it like we talk about how much data we willingly give over? And a lot of it's just for convenience, right? We get those targeted ads. We get that Google Map service that helps us get to places faster. But should we as a society kind of have that European approach where the courts are like, no, listen.
But that's what I'm implying. We as a society let the fox into the henhouse, if you will. We are accepting of these technologies. So we are kind of opening the gate. Yes, I agree with the permission. Most people don't even read those terms and agreements. They just scroll down and click OK. So, I mean, when then you find out, oh, they're tracking you. Like, are you surprised? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Society is not the sharpest tool in the shed, right? So,
No, but it all comes down to one thing. Like, you skip it. Just the same fundamental question, though. Anytime you skip that and hit yes, is the app is telling you they're gonna violate certain aspects of your privacy if you use our app. You don't have to. Go fuck off and live your life without it. But if you're gonna use it, we're gonna violate your privacy to a certain extent. Are you okay with that? Everybody hits yes. But there are people. So Like I know people big in the privacy world who will actually read through it and hit no, or they'll like contact the app provider and try to find some carve out or some sort of like setting, and they'll restrict certain things, right? So, but eventually, yeah, people who are very paranoid, they should just hit no or not use those apps. I mean, it is what it is. It's
But
not
is
like it's
it?
an essential life service, right? To use Instagram.
But should we have like right now we have a culture that we're kind of I want to use the word coaxed into thinking,
Coerced.
just coerced to just kind of click okay.
Mhm.
But if we change that narrative a little bit, where our governments, our media are constantly telling us, hey, value your privacy, uh, don't just click yes, make sure you know what's happening, and we give a little more airtime to the voices telling us, hey, be careful about the man staring in through the blinds, close your curtains every now and then. um,
I
and I think people's behavior is coachable enough that you can coach people into valuing their own privacy more than they do now if you
and
wanted
what
them to. And should
that's not
we be
that's
coaching
not
people to
needed.
be?
That's not needed, man. Like the government, it's not the government's job to tell people what they do and don't need to value. They just need to say, look, maybe I guess maybe educate people that you have a choice. If you value your privacy to this degree, then hit no. You have that choice. Just make people aware of the choice. You're right. There is an element of education needed, but like just because I hit yes doesn't mean I don't value my privacy. I know what I'm giving up for some convenience or for some entertainment. I make that choice, okay? So that's all you need to push out. I don't think the government should be telling people, hey, look, if you hit yes, you're not valuing your privacy because that's bullshit. And then you're putting an idea in people's head of, what they should and shouldn't think. Not my take.
I just remember there was a time when we were a little bit more skeptical of our governments, and we would constantly say, "Look, that's too much information for the government." And I think in recent times and I know the anti-vaxxers get big on this. That's where they kind of really hit on this. Is you know we should have our own independent rights and stuff, and are just the rights to privacy, and they feel like the government's constantly trying to take this away from us. Like even when the government did their COVID app, the one that would actually track your proximity to other people and whether or not you may have contracted someone with COVID. Like the amount of privacy scrutiny that app went through. Of are you using this app just to track us, or are you taking the proper precautions to know that we're been around someone with COVID without actually taking any identifying information? There was some decent amount of noise. But what I'm trying to get back to is there used to be a time when we didn't trust our governments, and I think we're a little bit more trusting of our government now than we were in the past.
So, I'll chime in on that. I mean, with your example, it's not so much that, for example, the tracking app or whatnot, that I'm worried about what they're doing. Um, because I don't think it's, forgive me, I don't think they're the smartest people in the tech world working for the government. Um, but I am more concerned how secure that information is once they've collected it.
Mm.
I'm not as concerned that they're collecting it and what it is. I mean, fine, but how secure is it? And the promises they are making to the general public about that security. That's my main concern. And we know security can be porous, and that would be my bigger concern. That if you're not the best at what you do, how secure is that information that you've been collecting? That's the part that I think they need to get perfect first. Have in place those securities or whatever you might be calling it before they start collecting all this information. Because to be honest, I don't think they're the brightest people.
Is there any fear of this
Because I think
escalating? Like you start now with one thing, and all of a sudden it just keeps going more and more. Now all of
I just don't think they're good. I just don't think they're good at it, man. I think there's that's what I'm trying to say. Government programs, government projects. I mean, do we think they're really successful? Do you guys really think government projects are operated extremely well and have this dark side of it where they're trying to collect all this data and
well,
using it against us? Like,
isn't
I
that
mean,
more evidence about it that they are so bad at it? Going to what you were saying with their privacy
yeah,
and security of it, But if they're
My
so
my
bad
bu-
at,
yeah.
Yo,
maybe they're
they had
over
more access
collecting
to our
and
information, they would deliver better services. You know,
Possibly.
yeah.
I'm just scared someone hacking them. That's all it is.
I mean,
That's my biggest fear. Like they're gonna get hacked because they're just not the best.
like
You
what
know.
if this all just ends up going Minority Report? You know what I mean? Where they're like now they have so much information and like big corporations they start implementing predictive models. So they're already saying, hey, based on all this information we've already collected on you, we think you could be a threat, so we're disabling certain services for you or taking away some of your fundamental rights just because, statistically there's a good chance that you'll probably break the stuff. Like, is that not where this all ends up going if we just start giving up everything up so freely?
I don't know, man. I still think you're
I think
thinking
we're way
about
too far.
something.
That's still too
Yeah, yeah.
abstract. Yeah,
But it
you're
all
Like
watching
starts
too many
like
with
movies.
the
Too many
government
movies.
can't get their payment software right, and we're talking about Minority Report. Like they got
Yeah,
a ways to go, right?
let's
Like let's be
chill.
realistic. You know.
I don't think
So
us or our kids will have to deal with that. Maybe your grandkids. So that sucks for them.
yeah,
all
sucks for
right.
them.
All right, talking about people going to the grocery stores and buying liquor. I don't know if you guys saw this. Loblaws reported a 40% boost in profits. Uh,
Loblaws, evil corporation.
and it kind of brought up the whole it opened up a lot of debate because we're going through a pandemic. They're they're raking it in. Um, is that ethical? Should grocery stores be
Why not?
price
Well,
gouging of
to
bread?
be fair, Loblaws isn't just a grocery store, right?
Yeah.
They got their hands on a lot of pies. They got they're
I
his
see what you
puppet
said there.
masters. They're Robbie's puppet masters. I'm gonna point that out there, so he can't say anything bad, and
I'm not
I'll give
saying
him a
anything about
pass.
it.
But look, I mean, they have a responsibility to the shareholders to turn a profit. So if they do that, through their shoppers, I think they have pharmacies. Shoppers Drug Mart's part of them.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, Shoppers Drug Mart
Yeah,
as
so
well. Yeah.
Shoppers Drug Mart's part of them. I'm sure they have other branches in retail as well, and other,
Joe
maybe
Fresh.
non-retail branches. Oh, Joe Fresh, there you go.
Yeah.
So look, they're pretty diversified. If they turn a profit, great. But yeah, if they are hurting Canadians at, you know, what's their lower tier grocery store? Is it No Frills
No
No frills.
frills.
or
Zares.
Price Chopper or something or
They
Food
have no
Mason?
No, no,
frill.
no frills. No
They have
frills,
no
and then it
frills.
goes
Zares.
Real
Food
Canadian
Bay.
Superstore. Real Canadian Superstore. Then the top tier is Loblaws, and Zares is outside the GTA. So Bertino's is as well, but it's a different structure with them. But you, I would go No Frills, Real Canadian Superstore, Loblaws would be
Yeah,
the
so
three-tier
so i
structure.
if they're, I mean, I doubt they're making big profits as office, but if that's where they're doing it, then yeah, there's some corporate responsibility that it really needs to be looked at. That's pretty shit,
Why?
dude. Uh, I
I
think
mean,
price gouging or trying to having huge margins on food.
essential
Uh,
human rights where you have really no choice but to buy it from them.
yeah, yeah,
No,
exactly.
there's other stores.
Maybe
These
one or
guys,
two.
Look,
That's about
look. When I
it.
sit, when I'm in Loblaws and I see people complaining about the prices, I'm like, go to No Frills.
Exactly, exactly. But when you're at No Frills and people are complaining about prices,
Blame inflation.
yeah, but let's say there is actually legit like
Yo, but the
40%
margins,
margin on the food.
but the margins in groceries are tight, man. It's pretty tight. It's not this price gouging thing, or they're making like
you mean? I mean,
markups on like glasses.
they've already had their price gouging thing. That case with bread, right, where they were
Oh, the price
fix
fixing, price fixing.
price
Yeah.
fixing, which is more or less gouging to some degree. And because they're just saying Loblaws has such strong buying power, they're able to push certain impacts. But Ranji was talking about the shareholder, and to the shareholders, Loblaws said, "Hey, we're raising dividends because we've had such a good year." Uh,
Damn, that
So,
good of a
so
year.
they're
well, I
increasing
mean,
dividend.
I think like everyone's eating at home. The pandemic was crazy, right? Grocery
Well,
stores have never been busier. People are eating in more. Yeah, people are just cooking more, man. So it's a yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think
well,
there's a volume increase as well, right?
still, I think that may be the case, Robbie, but there is something correct in that notion that we need to protect food as an industry and making sure it's always as accessible as possible, right? Like minimize price gouging. Like if you're shopping at Longo's, you should not be complaining about what you're paying for because you're paying for an experience, okay?
Exactly.
But at No Frills, yeah, like there has to be some sort of accessibility to the people of the lowest socioeconomic class in Canada.
But are we saying the prices are not? I mean, not within the three tiers of Loblaws, but let's say when you compare it to a Price Chopper, compare No Frills and whatever the other budget equivalent,
Food
Jumbo Fresco, I
basics,
guess.
yeah,
You
fresh
know,
go, yeah.
it's food basics. Yeah, are those prices varying differently? Where you can say, well, No Frills is gouging people, or is just the cost of business now?
I mean, I'm sure all these grocery stores, if they say, "Hey, this person is charging $4.55," we could probably get away with charging for. Like the market will all kind of
Yeah,
move
but even
in
the
that same way.
suppliers, remember, like Loblaws just went through a battle with Hostess or
No.
Frito-Lay's, one of the two, right?
Oh
About
yeah, yeah, yeah.
increasing
Over
prices,
chips.
and they didn't
Lay's,
want to.
Lay's, it was
So
Lay's.
so there you go. Lay's wanted to increase prices, Loblaws didn't. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
should
Shell. It's not just Loblaws. Like Shell just recorded record profits as well, right? And people are
on
saying,
gas.
"Dude, yeah," and that's people are saying that could be something that's a liberty or right that all people need. To a certain extent, like there's an argument for it, but
Should
I mean,
grocery
it's not
stores
it's
to
not
that
just
end
grocery
then?
stores.
No, but should grocery stores to that whole discussion be nationalized? Like we have a provincial liquor, and I think every province has their own liquors or their own original like LCBO. Like it's a Crown Corp thing that
can
is
you can
controlled.
you imagine the government running a grocery store? The LCBO is one of the most expensive places to buy liquor in the entire world. And we're talking about not price gouging people, and you trusting the government to run something like that?
Yeah, but no, Robbie, hey, that's not under a model where there's a monopoly by the government, right? But if there were public and privately funded grocery stores, then you could have your government funded grocery store and then you could have your Longos.
So it's your choice which one you go to, but maybe you'll save 35 cents if you go buy bread from the other grocery place. No?
So how much savings are we talking about where people are upset? I mean, I would say the price in grocery has jumped $50 a bill over the course of the last 2 years on average. But when you're going between those two stores, maybe you're saving $20
ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ
between a higher end store.
ਪਿਆਜ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਿੰਨਾ
I
ਮਹਿੰਗਾ
have
ਹੋ
no
ਗਿਆ
idea, man.
Dude,
Yeah, yeah.
my mom
No,
complains about it all the time.
I mean, milk, everything's going up, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, are we saying those producers are not having trouble making that food as well? I mean, what are they selling the food at? Remember, these grocery stores are not producing the food; they're buying it.
Well, I
So,
remember reading something about the fact that the farmers, like the beef farmers of Canada, they're not seeing the same sort of price
mhm.
increase on their end. They're saying like Lawless saying, well, the price of gas and all that stuff's also influencing it. But the farmers are
Yeah,
saying,
but
hey, we're not making more either. Like the farmers aren't saying, hey, we're making a fortune right now either. It's the grocery stores are making the fortune, but that fortune they're
so
making is not being trickled
I
down.
I think I could agree to that. Like, essentials, certain meat products, dairy, bread, should kind of be regulated. I can agree with that. It shouldn't have these price fluctuations. There are certain things, but if you're complaining about how much your Starbucks, cold coffee espresso brew is costing you today, I mean, like, come on.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for the person who's struggling to get by. But we're talking about profits, and generally the profits don't come from those lower margin items. They come from people buying the X brand or the black label PC product, and I want this special pasta sauce. Remember, that's where the profit's coming from. It's not going to come from raising it 5 cents on a loaf of bread. Like that. That's the way I think, at least.
What's
You
the
got
what's the sorry, go on.
go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just thinking, like, maybe like on a lighter end on this on this subject. What's the poorest meal you've ever ate? And we've all been students, so
I
it's a,
mean, I can go right at the top because I still have this meal like kind of regularly. Maggie noodles.
you used to eat
Maggie noodles,
sidekicks too. You put me in sidekicks.
I
sidekicks.
haven't
No,
done
my
sidekicks in ever,
yo,
but
white
those
bread,
25-cent
man.
noodle.
White bread and like some mystery meat. That's been
I used to work at a place. We had this like debate. And I heard the best answer there. My poorest meal was just a piece of bread with margarine and microwaving it. It becomes like
Yep.
a cheese.
Yeah,
Right?
I still
Almost.
do that. I still have like very cheap tendencies. Like I don't
And
need to, but they're quick fixes for food that
No,
still hit the spot.
ketchup sandwich is ghetto.
No,
I
no, that is nasty. My kid wanted that, and I almost slapped him. Like, look,
I
it's gonna
know a
have better
guy.
taste. Than...
I know a guy I
Ketchup
work
sandwich,
with.
man.
He said, and this be won it for me. He said he was actually like almost broke, and he had a slice of cheese, like in the
Yeah.
plastic wrap with ketchup on it, and that was his meal.
Oh, it's
That was his
nasty.
sandwich.
What's
I don't. I
the
can't.
worst? I've had to live on. I think it was equivalent of $7 for 1 week. That was my lowest point in life. $7, but yeah, loaf of bread, man, and some mystery meat is all I bought, and that's all I ate.
Mm.
I've done a
But
lot of cheap food stuff. Like I used to do potatoes. Potatoes are a go-to.
and the potatoes good.
You boil potato. University is like one of my staples. Just boil and bake potatoes. Obviously, you got to pay for electricity with that stuff. So if that's a little high, that might not be feasible for a lot of people. But I still like 3 days in a row, midnight. I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry. Fuck it, I'm gonna go make some Maggi noodles. That always hits the spot.
I hate Maggi noodles.
And it's not like I say Maggi noodles because I know a lot of people understand what Maggi noodles. I actually like that Oriental brand. I don't know what it is.
The ramen,
yeah.
like
The
Mr.
ramen.
Cup.
Mr.
Ramen
Noodle.
cup is
It's the Mr. Noodle brand, right? But
No,
I
I'm
don't
all
know.
about that hot. Have you guys had the spicy ramen cup?
Yeah, I've seen that with the
The
sriracha,
Chinese, the red one. That's
Yeah,
Red
the thing at
Rooster.
Longo's. Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Fancy.
No,
so bad for
man.
you. So bad for you.
I mean, I also do friggin' cereal for dinner every now and then. I'm like, you know what? I'm just hungry. Fuck it, cereal.
What's go-to cereal?
Special K right now. Special K with strawberries. Hits the
Someone's getting that
spot.
fiber in.
Buddy, my kid sees that. He's like, Papa, you have your special cereal. I'm like, yes, I do. Special K, man. It
Do they
hits.
market that to women?
Yeah, it might. I mean, they make the
they
boxes
do.
a little ready, and
Someone
there
type
is-
it in right now. I almost guarantee they market that to women.
I think they do. Like, I do think the marketing on it is a bit feminine. But yo, that shit hits.
So that's your like go-to cereal when you want a craving, like not Fruit Loops or
No,
Frosted Flakes or
don't. I haven't
Cocoa
fucked with.
Puffs.
No,
Cocoa Puffs.
I haven't had any of those in a long time. I can't remember the last time I had any of those.
Ranji looks like a cornflakes kind of guy. While he watches Red Tube.
Hold on, there's cornflakes and frosted flakes.
Oh, cornflakes.
Cornflakes. He likes it dry.
Cornflakes, a little bit of vanilla protein powder in it.
What? You guys are
Yes.
gross, man. I'm still not over the whole ketchup on bread. Like,
That was a poor meal. That
poor meal,
guy.
man.
I feel like
that's a poor meal.
ketchup on bread is by far the poorest meal I've heard so far. I mean, and this is coming from a guy.
No. You're calling it ketchup on bread. We call it a ketchup sandwich.
Like,
Put some
I mean-
respect on the name.
be cultured. Stick with margarine or butter on bread and toast that shit.
Yeah, ketchup on
That's
cheese. Just eating that. That was crazy.
And this is coming from someone who enjoys like mac and cheese, like KD Kraft mac and cheese, right?
I never got into that until my kids started eating it.
I never had that till
Never mind.
university and Lvish in the.
I used to kill mac and cheese. Every now and then my kids get mac and cheese for dinner, and I'm like, well, make sure I get enough for me too. Like, there's never any leftovers on that shit. I'm like, well, here's your bowl and here's mine. But all right, moving quickly, talking about moving along. Rolling Thunder. Have you guys heard about Rolling Thunder?
I know what it is, but I never paid much attention to it. I don't even know what ended up happening.
It's truckers again, isn't it? You should
No.
It's not truckers. Don't.
Now it's
It's
bike.
truckers who lost their trucks and
Not
they jumped on
truckers.
bikes.
It's bikers now.
They're just truckers on bikes. That's all it is. Truckers.
So
That's what it was. Bikers. It was bikers who.
It was bikers this time. They have. I didn't see any footage of it. Like, you know what, the truckers you always saw down the road, like them coming down the 4-1.
With
Rolling Thunder, they didn't.
Are they fighting vaccines and COVID mandates?
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing.
Man. Good luck to them. That's all I can say. You know,
COVID's done.
good luck. COVID's done,
That's-
yeah. Now they're just angry they can't go on vacation. That's all it is. That's what they're
I think
upset
it's
about.
still the anti. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the not being able to. Some are saying the fact that some companies are allowed asking you for your vaccination status.
You know, I want to point something out
What
now.
trucker is worried about that? What trucker? What these guys don't work in office jobs? What are they worried about?
When it comes to travel, though, I just want to point out how entitled we are in Canada. We don't realize it. So we could travel to, Australia, whatever. It's not a big deal. We just show our fucking Canadian passport, apply for the. I'm going to use Australia as an example. Apply for
No,
the,
yeah.
visa online, or you
No,
do
we
it
don't
on
need
landing.
we don't
You
need
do.
a
You get
visa
on
for
landing. I
Australia.
think you get on landing.
No, we don't need a visa for Australia.
I think you do. Yes,
It's
you
like the
do.
UK.
No,
No,
you do.
isn't it like the UK?
No, you
You
need a
do?
visa on landing Australia. Yep.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's us Canadians, okay? When a European or an Indian wants to go there, they have to show their proof of vaccination. They have so many vaccination proofs they have to show. We in Canada are blessed because like vaccination has been normal and it's kind of been like the standard of the other G7 countries. It's always been pretty high. But if you're like in a non G7 country and you're traveling to all these other countries, it's normal for you to be for you to have to prove immunization records. We're
Hmm.
not we're completely oblivious to that, how the rest of the world functions. So now if you're having to travel somewhere and a country's asking, does this person have their COVID vaccine, and you're outraged, well, that's a really really a first world problem, because the rest of the world has to show like yellow fever vaccination and all these other
I see what you're saying. Okay,
fucking yeah. So
like
this
the
is
whole
not
vaccination.
exactly things we were vaccinated for as kids.
Is it? Are you guys
Hmm.
surprised that this didn't get the same level of momentum from anyone?
COVID's over. That's why nobody cares now.
That's why, yeah, no one gives a
Even
shit.
the news is like, "Yo, this is stupid."
Yo, I came off the plane today, so went to the airport, showed my rapid test, showed my vaccine, did all that long check-in process, got on the plane, wearing a mask. Minute I landed, not a mask in sight.
In
COVID
Texas.
doesn't COVID
Yeah.
doesn't exist in Texas. It's weird.
I mean,
Not in Florida.
masks
Nobody
here are
cares.
pretty rare now too. Like the only time I ever will put a mask on is when I go to my kids' daycare because they still have it inside, and I'm like, look, I don't know who. I don't want to be that parent that it stands out.
No,
Some,
but people do wear it in the grocery store in Canada. Like
I do see
I
that,
see it.
yeah.
I
Everybody's
haven't
still
worn
like.
it.
There's a good majority of people wearing it. You're
I've only
just
seen
the
employees and some. I've seen some employees still wearing it, but like when I was at Fortino's, majority of the people I think weren't.
And what I mean by wearing it, I mean actually wearing it, not where it's like falling off their
Yeah. No,
mouth
just
and just wearing it for because they have to. Like there are people still concerned.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
even
don't
downtown
mind.
I see it.
And I don't
Uh
fault anyone if they want to wear a mask, and I'm not even gonna take a shot at them. I'm just saying, for the most part, I generally don't see people wearing masks in the grocery stores I've been to.
That's why this Rolling Thunder. Who cares? Cool, man. You do you, right? Like every
Maybe
other.
they just wanted to get away from home. They're like, look, I gotta go fight for my civil liberties.
idiots. They're
The
bunders.
truckers, man. They're your people.
Fuck. This guy.
All right, so let's hit up the bonded of the week real quick. Do you hear about Chappelle's show?
Saw the
Best show on
video.
earth.
Well, not the Chappelle show, but Chappelle was doing a comedy show. It was a Netflix sponsored show. Someone tried to attack him while he was on stage. They tackled him. His security came in, kind of took care of the guy.
Did you see the aftermath pictures?
The
his
video.
arm
His
looked a
arm
little
is like bent
backwards.
the other way. They broke both his arms.
How does that even happen? Like, how can you kick an arm to be backwards? Like, you gotta
Just
literally
felt-
like pry the shit out of that.
They
No,
snapped it. They snapped his arms.
Yeah.
that was kind of messed up. There's a
The
graphic
best,
thing.
the best was Chris Rock's comment. Did you hear his comment?
I thought that
What's
I
it
think
was?
that's fake. But if it's real, it's legit.
No, I thought it
No.
was real.
I thought it was real. Chris
Yeah,
Rock
he
remarked,
gets on-
"Was it Will
He gets on
Smith?"
stage. Yeah, he gets on stage. Said, "Was that Will Smith?"
Really?
Come on.
I mean, good for him for owning that joke, but
Schindler's just heard on the Will Smith part again. Remember?
no, man.
His
I
boy.
feel like we've all come around to my point of view saying it's okay to smack
What?
people because, buddy, everyone I know was so happy when Ron Banerjee got smacked up. for talking shit.
No one's cheering for Will Smith.
Yeah,
You guys don't
no,
gotta. No, you don't gotta cheer for Will Smith, but you can cheer for the practice of slapping people.
yeah.
Sure,
Well,
okay.
if for two
Let's
broken
just
arms,
agree.
that guy's gonna have a payday in a lawsuit. So
Is he though?
he will.
I
think
I'd
we
be.
lost.
Who would we lose? Me? I'm here.
No. I thought your audio
Oh.
cut out, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, I thought it cut out.
No,
too.
no. I've seen more and more people saying, "Hey, you know what? Slapping this person is justified, or slapping that person is justified." I feel like the fact that we're willing to acknowledge that slapping people is justified in certain circumstances, even if you thought Will Smith overreacted in his case of being made fun of for slapping someone, you guys were pretty adamant that you should never slap anyone.
No.
No.
We did
No,
not say
no.
that.
You guys seemed pretty adamant at that time.
We just said
So-
that the Will Smith bar was way too low.
Agree to disagree, but I think this is bonded of the week material. Attacking someone
Yeah.
on stage who has this huge security detail around him and getting your arms twisted inside out.
That's
He looked alright
a
otherwise.
high level stupidity.
Apparently, he's a Trump guy. Like he had a bunch of videos of himself.
It's probably, and he's probably a trucker too. Let's just put that in there.
Oh, this guy.
He was mad at some jokes or some left.
This guy's in the Republican state right now. He went there because Roe v. Wade is getting overturned. He wanted to celebrate, so he's in
Hey,
Texas.
man.
He went to the heart.
Texas, no masks. Go shoot some guns. Eat some barbecue.
He's at the
Good
heartland.
times.
You know what's crazy about Texas is the real estate prices there. I like how I always bring everything back into real estate, but you get some nice ass houses still. And I know prices there
Dude.
have gone up, but
I'm in this area. It's right South Lake, or it's in that area, South Lake. Just
Google it.
look at the houses, man. It's like, and I'm like, asking my buddy, how expensive are they? Brampton house, same price. So
And you're like, fuck, I'm overpaying.
yeah,
But prices are coming down right now. I know it wasn't part of today's show, but 60% some people are saying expect from the highs.
Price from the highs. So what would that put an average 4-bedroom detached house at? $1 million?
Yeah, about there.
Yeah.
So I
They're
don't know
saying
if
it
it's,
dropped 60%.
no, they're saying there's cases right now because one of the big problems is, what was the thing that they just talked about? You know when you pre-buy a home and you get assignments,
Yes,
the government's going to add in the taxation on assignments. They're going to really come down hard on those. They're saying expect those to really start.
Even the evaluations, those guys are, they bought at really all-time highs. And now as the market has a downward trend, when the bank has an evaluation, it's not going to match.
Now, I'm not
Yeah,
saying all.
the
these-
appraisals are coming down short now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And-
they're going to be kind of either looking to get out, or they're going to be a hard time trying to find a way to close the mortgage, if you will.
And before anyone gets at me, I'm not saying that entire housing market is going to come down 60%. I'm just saying I've seen things where people said expect where housing went up 300% in the past for the adjustment in the future
This-
to come down to up to
This
60.
is Shinda giving official financial advice. Take it.
Not at
for what
all.
he said.
I'm just saying the big doom gloom scenarios. Some people are saying they could see this thing correcting up to
Yo,
60% from the
how
tops.
messed up is it? I'm saying a house is still $1 million, and we're talking about a 60% drop. Like the notion that $1 million is nothing
Crazy.
for a detached
I mean-
house in Brampton. What's wrong with us?
We're saying the house that was 1.7, if it's at 1, that's a decent price.
I am moving to Texas. I am on this website and I'm moving to Texas. I'm moving to South Lake.
So,
All right.
like,
All right.
Intros. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Oh yeah.
We'll never.
Fuck that.
Doctor.
I'm Roger from Texas.
Yeah.
All right, mate. I don't know. I went straight Australian.
Straight to you.
I'm like, you're so down south. I started thinking Australian, but
All
right,
right,
boys.
Dr. Rob. Enjoy Dallas.
All right, Ranj Esquire. Hope you have a good hockey tournament that you're in.
And
Uh-huh.
Niagara.
man, you're still be able
Shouldn't
to
sing.
play these sports. I'm just, I don't know. I just need to learn how to golf.
And
man.
happy Mother's Day to the one or two ladies listening. It'll probably be right after Mother's Day. after this drops, and none of
And,
us will.
your mom listens, so happy Mother's Day to her.
Yeah.
Even though you
Yo,
proved
yo,
it
at what
wrong.
age? At what age do the kids take over the gift buying? Because I'm asking for a friend.
I mean, I was instructed that I got to take
the minute they're able to use your credit card, that's it's like, here, take this.
I mean, I'm doing a trip to HomeSense and Chapters and be like, hey, what do you think Mama would like?
Yeah, seriously, I need to do some shit like that.
That's gonna be the. All right, Ben. Yeah, we'll talk next week about what gifts our kids made us buy.
And
Or
the shit
their
that we
moms.
got for not buying the right ones.
For not coercing them to buy something better.
Exactly.
Seriously.
All right, boys. Have a good weekend.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.